Hall of Fame induction ceremonies coming up this week in Canton, Ohio. And among those being inducted, Jerome Bettis, former Steelers and Rams running back. And Bussy joins us now. First of all, congrats on the honor, Bus. How are you?
I'm great, Dan. Thanks for having me on, man. It's an incredible honor, and I'm soaking it all up right now.
Okay, I want you to settle a bet here. Your jacket size for the induction ceremony is what? The yellow jacket.
The yellow jacket is tricky because obviously it's custom done, but he did tell me what the equivalent of it would be.
Okay.
And that is a 52 long.
Yes! Nailed it.
Did you nail it?
Yes. Yeah. One guess. That was all I wanted to talk to you about, Bus. Have a great weekend, and thanks for joining. Okay. How many times have you practiced your speech?
I went over it the first time to try to get an idea of how long it's going to take. And that was it. So, I mean, I kind of went over it, but I didn't write it completely out.
Oh.
So I'm kind of, I've got the names and the people and the stories, but I don't have it completely done because it's all in my head. So as long as I can get to it, I can give it to put it in the speech, and hopefully it'll be fine.
Have you practiced crying?
No, I have not practiced crying. And the reason that I actually wrote it out, I started because I said I didn't want to cry. And the best way for me not to cry was to kind of read some of the stuff that I wanted to say about my family. And so that's what made me even write it, so I could kind of lose some of that impact by just saying it out loud before the speech. Because if I had to just talk about it at that point, I thought it would bring me to tears. So that was the reason why I wanted to write it down.
Okay, what family member? Where do you know if you go that you're going to cry?
My father. That's the hard part. Because my dad, he was my biggest supporter. Obviously, I lost him some years ago, but he always thought that I would get to the Hall of Fame, and I always kind of shrugged it off like, "Nah, Dad, da. And now that I'm here and he's not here to see it, that's the tough part. So that's the part that I'm worried about.
Fritzy has a new nickname for you. And, Fritzy, you ready to unveil this?
I sure am.
Okay, here you go. This is Jerome Bettis' new nickname. It's
The Bust. and that's in a good way.
Yeah.
Bust meaning your head, not that you were a disaster in your career.
He's a Hall of Famer.
I know, but when you hear bust, you think of Ryan Leaf and you think of bust. Like draft bust. I'm sure he got it. I just wanted to make sure, because the word bust usually has a negative connotation.
You don't have to explain. He's going into the Hall of Fame.
So his nickname's The Bust, and I added a T because he's going to have his head in Canton there.
What do you think of that new nickname, Jerome?
You know what? I can work with it, because what'll happen is everybody's going to think you're saying the bus. They're going to think something was wrong. Like, what? And so when you say the bust, they'll be like, did you say the bus? So I can go with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, you have to drag it out. It's the bust instead of the bus.
You know what? I can work with that, and you will like my likeness of me with my bust.
You like it?
I really like my bust, so I'm very, very happy, and it's done very, very well. Looks just like me, and that's what I was worried about. I didn't want to have a bust that was sitting there that looked like some other guy. It's like, wait, that's not Jerome Bettis. So I've got a bust. It represents me very, very well, and I'm proud to unveil it come Saturday.
Did you have bust approval?
Yes, I did. I actually had to sit down for 7 hours.
Oh, man.
With the gentleman who sculpted the bust, and then he after the 7 hours was up, he lives in Utah. So it's not like I can just go knock on the door and say, how's it coming? So what I did was, as he was completing it, he sent pictures. And so I would tell him, okay, help me out a little bit with this, and my mustache needs to be just a little bit bigger. So I kind of got all the things in that I needed to get in order to make it correct.
I thought it was strange that you were doing it and you were nude when he was doing this. And it's only your head, not your body, Bus. Like, did you volunteer to be nude for this? I mean, my sources told me that you were naked.
You are terrible. There's no way. You know what? They didn't have enough clay for some of my body parts.
Oh, wow. Well, I didn't know they were going to have your ego in there, too. So maybe that's why they didn't have enough clay in there. Hey, how tough is it going to be for running backs in the future to make the Hall of Fame? The fact that, it's a passing league now.
It's going to be extremely difficult. But I will say this. There's always going to be 4 or 5 running backs that are really special that will be able to really get the yardage necessary. And of those 4 or 5 guys, maybe 1 or 2 guys would probably have Hall of Fame careers. So I think it's not impossible, but it's going to be a lot more rare to see the running back go in. You're going to see far more receivers start to go in as their numbers go through the roof, and you can't hold them out because the numbers are just so astronomical that you've got to put them in.
Give me the one piece of video. If I knew nothing about your career, if I watched that, I would understand why you're a Hall of Famer.
I would have to say that, the Chicago Bears game, because it kind of signified everything. If you kind of knew the backstory to that game, where in the first half of that game, I rushed for 0 yards as the backup, and then because it was snow and because it was muddy, they wanted to go with a mutter, which was me, and they put me in. I got 100 yards in one half, and some of those plays were kind of iconic to my career. So I think it kind of capsulized my entire career in one game, that I was the guy that was reliable, dependable, and when they called my number, I always showed up and performed. You
pancaked Brian Urlacher at the goal line, didn't you?
Well, I don't really like to talk about that too much because Brian is a good friend. So that's the difficult part about that.
But you did pancake him.
I unfortunately I did. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you said. Yeah. Did you say I'm sorry, Brian, after you scored? Hey, Brian, I'm really sorry I pancaked you.
You know what? I wanted to, but everything was kind of happening so fast. So what we did was, after the game, we traded shoes.
Why?
So because I knew that was going to be my last game. So each game I traded something with a player, as kind of the signify me leaving the game, and so I wanted to do that. And Brian obviously was the star of that team, and so I wanted to trade something with him. I didn't plan on having to play like that, and kind of giving him the business. I didn't plan on that part.
Okay, but who else did you exchange gifts with?
With different people, like we played. I'm trying to think, who else did we play? Who we played that year? We played. I don't even remember the schedule. Goodness gracious. Oh man, I got too many hits to the head, man. I'm trying to remember 10 years ago. Goodness, for 15 years. I don't know how long ago it was. I traded stuff with everybody that year. I can't remember the games. But I know I traded something with Ray Lewis. When we played Baltimore, I traded something with. I'm trying to think, who did I trade something with? I don't think I traded with anybody in Cincinnati.
Oh, you didn't like him?
don't think I want anything from Cincinnati.
Before I let you go, at what part do I tune in where you talk about losing to me in a 40-yard dash?
Oh, trust me, there will be no mention of loss.
Oh, there won't.
Be only mention of winning, of the fact that I smoked a fellow colleague of mine, and he under false pretenses.
So, and that's when you knew that you made the right decision to retire. That's how you get to that story, is you lost to me.
No chance.
And you know what we should have done is we should have exchanged shoes. I would have given you my wingtips, and you could have given me your shoes. Here's the problem, though. My shoes were on fire. They were hot to the touch after that race.
That is funny. There's no way you was gonna get. Unfortunately, I didn't have any room for that. I don't have any room for that. Those wingtips.
No. I understand. Hey, the closet's full, and congrats with the ceremony, and have fun this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. That's Jerome Bettis, the bust.